I think it's worth just taking the opportunity to thank the two students from Weston College who have come along and helped us out today. A bit of work experience for them and a great low tipping for us, so thank you. It's really nice for us to sort of give something back. We're only about a year and a half old as a company, so to be able to, give some work experience to someone is great. So I am going to walk you through just digital storytelling, really. And I don't know if any of you use storytelling in your marketing, but I'm going to sort of show you how you can do it and how to use digital to portray that. So just a bit about me. I actually live in Dorset, so wrong county. But I'm a family guy, got two children who like to fight over who's going to sit in the front seat of the car. Little lovely Labrador, Berry here. And a keen cyclist as well. Last year went off to Italy and cycled down the Via Appia, which is 2,000 years old. Probably the oldest road in the world. And I'm a keen reader as well, which is where the sort of passion for storytelling comes from. So who uses Skype for business here? Anyone? So we've got a few, okay. Does everyone know what Skype is? Very dumb question. Okay, how do you sell Skype? What is Skype? It's a face-to-face communications. Yeah, anyone else? Share screens. Okay. I mean, nowadays it's a fairly mundane tool, isn't it? It's a video communication tool. And there are tons of them out there. There's Hangouts, WhatsApp, Facebook Live, anything, yeah? How would you sell Skype for business? Well, the reason I'm telling you this is Keith and I, our previous job where we used to work was an agency that did videos for Microsoft. And they get charged with, okay, sell more Skype for business. So how do you do that? What they chose to do is storytelling. So has anyone got a relative or know anyone who's had a stroke? Anyone sort of family impacted by a stroke? So quite a few. Quite an emotional subject. How can Skype for business save lives and improve lives? So, taking a dull subject like I sell Skype, it's a video communications tool, to Skype saves lives is a much better conversation, isn't it? So the story we told was this lady had a stroke, and it's Brighton Hospital we went and filmed this at, but she had a stroke at 4 o'clock in the morning. The ambulance is called, the ambulance takes her into hospital, and what normally happens is a consultant has to diagnose a stroke victim. So a very senior member of staff who's most likely lying in bed asleep. So the hospital will call the consultant gets up, finds car keys, gets in car, drives to hospital, parks car, has to pay for parking probably, the NHS at the moment, and then diagnoses the patient. As we all know, stroke treatment is all about speed, hence the fast advertising. So the quicker you can diagnose a stroke victim, the faster they can be treated and the better the outcome. So what does Skype for Business do? When the victim comes into the stroke ward, the nurse wheels up a trolley with a laptop on it and a camera, and it's connected Skype for Business to the consultant lying in their bed. And they can use it on their phone or on a laptop and actually diagnose the patient without moving. So the nurse can hold up the hands, can check the eye pupils and stuff like that, and they can immediately administer statins and stuff like that. So this lady's treatment was, took 15 minutes instead of a couple of hours to get the consultant in. So that's Skype for Business, a nice story around why you should use Skype for Business, because it saves lives. Everyone think that's a nice one? Yeah, works for you, good. So a little story about us. We say we're business storytelling, basically we're a marketing agency. In brief, Keith and I worked for an agency a couple of years ago, and we went to the pub and we thought, we can do this ourselves. We quite fancied the freedom of working for ourselves and exploring our creativity. We looked at the pub. What do you think the pub was called? The Compasses, yeah. So we thought immediately, there we go, we've got a company name. And we can do some cheesy lines like great direction and stuff like that, which we've never used yet. So that's about us. The sort of things we've been doing, we started October 2016, but this is an interesting story. A lighting company from Sweden called Heliospectro. They produce LED lighting that enhances the growth of herbs and plants and stuff. What's their biggest market in the States? Medicinal marijuana. Okay, so that's great for the States, but here you're not really allowed to sell stuff that improves marijuana marijuana growing. So they wanted to come up with a story around something a bit more consumable, and it happened to be potted herbs. So these are basil plants, and this is a place down in Chichester. Vitacrest, anyone know Vitacrest? Yeah, massive company. They 15-acre greenhouse down here in Chichester does 24 million potted herbs a year. So almost every supermarket potted herbs you buy comes from here. Now, they've worked out that shining red UV light on the last 24 hours of a basil plant's growth cycle means it lasts for 3 days longer on the shelves. So that's a huge win for supermarkets. And I think it's a really good point. This story is just for like supermarkets. It's not for the general public necessarily. I'm not interested if it lasts longer on the shelf. I might be interested if it lasts longer on my shelf at home. But it's directly targeted. It involved interviews with the project manager at Vitacrest. We also discovered they paid for a student, for a master's student at Roehampton University to look into this and find out what other benefits these lights can supply. So it's a really nice video to film, but a great sort of story around a really quite dry subject. So digital storytelling, how do you go about it, and why do you do it? It's really a story of content. It's a lot of the stuff you've heard about already today. But anyone bought a car recently? Yeah, what did you do when you thought you were going to buy a car? Where did you go first? You went online. Yeah, look at research, look at videos, look at social media, reviews, everything like that. I'm sure you can all appreciate this stat. It's really important that you're online, digitally, with a presence, so that people, when they start looking for your product, they can find you. And at different stages of their cycle, you've provided them with different information. So you need to kind of think about creating a library of content. And you need, what did this guy always have? A what? He had a plan, yeah. He's got a student, do you know who he is? No idea. Do you know who he is? No, okay, Hannibal Smith. I did a startup thing the other day, and the old one, no one knew at all, but the new one, a bit of Liam Neeson, or he's taken. So start with the end in mind. What are the goals of your content marketing? Are you looking to attract new business? So if you're looking to raise brand awareness and stuff like that, you want to think about brand personality and thought leadership. What's the story behind your business? Are there any founders here, owners of their own business? So who wants to volunteer? Go on, you're looking keen. What do you do?
Make marshmallows.
Marshmallows, you're the marshmallow lady. Brilliant. Okay, so you make marshmallows. Why do you make marshmallows?
Because I used to be a teacher and it used to incentivise the boys to get better results.
Fantastic. That's an awesome story, isn't it? I bet you've got loads of stories around that. Yeah. Do you use that in your marketing?
Only face to face.
Would you think about doing it sort of online? If you did a video, you see the great thing about a video is it can work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
The thing I do say is that I used to hate marshmallows, which I still hate marshmallows, unless they're mine, and I like mine. And I think that actually says quite a lot.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Yeah. So I'm sure everyone here has got a reason for being, as it were. And it's really important to tell that story. And digitally, you can tell that story really easily. And video, I'm going to bang on about video because that's what we do, but it really is a sales tool that works 24/7, you know. And if you perfect your video and your sales pitch, it can never go wrong. It's not like relying on someone else to tell your story. It's you telling it every time. So different sort of stuff. If you're looking to convert people who are already aware of you, create stuff around, you know, problems they might have and how your product solves it. If people are really just about, they're in that checkout that we were talking about earlier, what do you want to do? You want to do customer testimonials, which is the majority of the stuff we do, is getting people like themselves using the product and explaining how it's saved them time, made them money, improved their customer service. And delighting people at the end of the funnel, once you've got them, you know, doing training, stuff like that, events, and putting that online. What's really important about digital images, video, anything? There's a lot of stuff, if I walk around here really low and not smiling, you know, the message is quite clear, I'm not interested in talking to you. Whereas if I'm running around shoving the speaker, microphone in people's faces, it's a lot more engaging, yeah? So think about how much more information you can get across by putting an actual human being online. So 2 types of content for us, quicker than now and the slicker than considered. Slicker than considered is when you've got a big budget. Tesco's food love stories. Everyone seen these? Yeah. Really good, really clever. David Hornock Curry, do you know that one? He's been married 20 years and been dolloping yogurt into his curry, into his wife's curry because he doesn't like hot food. Kicked up a massive fuss in the Daily Mail because he'd been lying to his wife for 20 years. Lisa's Big Greek Stew wants to keep her Greek heritage, build awareness in her children, so whenever it's Winter's Day, she cooks them nice moussaka. And Henry, you know, being good tonight, his girlfriend is a vegan, so every so often he has to make a vegetarian meal and share it with her. He'd much rather have a steak. But what they've done here is engage with, you know, a guy here who's married, someone with Greek heritage, and someone with different eating habits. And the list goes on and on and on. There's just endless stories, you know, single guys, divorced guys, there's single mums and stuff like that. So you can just carry on targeting different segments of your audience. Now, the quicker than now, we thought, right, we're a video company. Does anyone else know a video company? There's a lot of video companies out there, right? And we were thinking when we started, how do we get in front of people? How do we create engaging content that'll let us, you know, talk to people like yourselves? So we thought, right, we've got a smartphone, and I actually started doing it just holding up my smartphone and doing little blogs. And Keith pointed out that we're a video company, we should be doing a bit better than that, because mine was shaky, the light was bad. I'm just the sales and marketing, by the way. So we thought, let's make a series that will help people. So we made a series on YouTube of 7 videos, and it will increase in number. It's just we're quite busy now, which is great. But it's number 1 there, which I played just before this, is literally us explaining, okay, if you just hold your phone up, you're making content. Little tips and tricks like buy a tripod, just a cheap one for £5 off Amazon, put it on a desk, and you've improved the quality. You can buy a light for 20 quid off Amazon, and that'll improve the lighting. How to use the audio jack, you know the headphones you get with the phone with the microphone on? You can actually use 2 phones. You can use one with that in someone's pocket, and they're talking to the microphone, but they could be 100 meters away, and I can be filming with my phone. And it's kind of like country file, you know, where they walk out of the woods and they're like, it's lovely weather here, there's a woolly sheep over there. And you can make a nice little documentary, and that's with 2 mobile phones and the headphone set you get. And you just go into the edit suite and line up the audio from one with the video from the other, and you've got a really nice video. So we show people how to do that sort of stuff. We run training courses, and this guy Ian, he's an estate agent, and he started doing videos like Through the Keyhole. Do you remember that? He sort of plonks it on a tripod in front of the house, and then talks about the house, and then walks in, cuts it, and goes and does it somewhere else in the house. So it's free to create really good, fun, engaging content. Here's a typical setup. So you've got the 20 quid light, microphone if you need it. You know, you can spend as much money as you want or as little as you want, and that's a 2-phone interview setup. Thinking about where your content's going to be consumed, as everyone's talked about today, you know, mobile phones, tablets, videos. Think about, you know, where's the person going to be when they're watching your video or looking at your content? Are they going to be on the tube on the way to work? Can they hear it? Do they have headphones? So do you put subtitles in? Has it got to be quick because they haven't got much time? Or are they sitting on the sofa looking at a tablet while watching telly? So why tell stories? To make more money, we believe. And what's in a story? So story's been around forever, it's not a new term. That one there, do you know what story is that? The Trojan horse? Yeah, what's the message behind it? Now, beware the Greeks bearing gifts. Yeah? So if you've got enemies and they're coming with something nice for you, beware, yeah? They haven't got good intentions. But that's a story, and that's all it's trying to say is, beware the Greeks bearing gifts. Here's a nice little story. Anyone been here? Does anyone recognise this? This is in New York. So it's a place called Criff Dogs. You've got Chris and Phil, 2 brothers, who want to start a hot dog business. And so they did, and they made hot dogs, fantastic hot dogs, for about 7 years. And it's called Criff Dogs because that's the name Phil makes when he says Chris's name and he's got his mouth full of hot dog. Because it's a Criff Dog. So lovely, 7 years in, and they've got a liquor license, they call it in the States, or a booze license, but they're not selling any alcohol. And they think, right, we want to open a bar. But within a 4-block radius, there's about 50 or 60 different bars. So how do they stand out? So what they did is Chris is walking down the street one day, and he's talking to his accountant, who says, actually, the coffee shop next to you is closing down. Why don't you buy that? So you think, that's great. Okay, how can I make it unique? He then comes across a friend of his who's an antiques dealer, and he's got a 1930s phone booth in his shop, and he says, this may be great for your bar. And Chris's uncle used to make rooms down in their cellar with secret doors. Don't ask me why. Sounds very dodgy, but he thinks, oh, hang on a minute, if we put the phone box in the corner of the bar, in the corner of the hot dog stand, and then you have to go in and pick up the phone, dial 3, and it gets answered, and if you've got a reservation, the phone booth opens up and you're into a bar. And the bar's called Please Don't Tell, which is quite cool. Now, to get a reservation here, the phone line opens at 3 o'clock every afternoon, and the bar is full by 3:30. You can't get a booking. So it's a way of, you know, standing out, and it's a fantastic story, and it's, if you go to that bar, what are you going to do? You're going to post it on Facebook, you're going to say, oh, I went to this bar, and you're going to just tell other people, you know, I went to this cool bar, and it's called Please Don't Tell. So just thinking outside the box of ways you can get people to start having conversations about your business is really key. So 2 different ways to sell, in my opinion. You've got rational and emotional decisions. A lot of people will sell on facts and figures. The human brain's not necessarily geared to take in lots of facts and figures. You kind of lose your memory after too many of them. But if you can roll facts and figures into a story, it makes it a lot more impactful. Now, where storytelling's really come in, do you remember these Direct Line adverts? They were just a beeping car that ran around the screen, and you got 12 months for 10, or you got 25% discount, stuff like that. What do Direct Line do now? Who's their big advertiser? Winston Wolfe? Yeah? Nothing to do with facts or figures or anything. It's just a nice story of this guy's going to turn up and fix everything. And you're slightly scared he's going to kill you and chop you up and put you in a bath of acid. But you know, they've changed the way they do things. Ryanair, this is all about the money, isn't it? Who flies Ryanair? I've just booked Ryanair tickets. And I didn't realise if you didn't put the baggage on immediately when you book it, that's 25 quid. If you then go back and want to add the baggage later, it's 40 quid. That's really annoying. It's hurt me. Who would I rather fly with? Virgin Atlantic, because there's a really good story behind them. We actually worked with one at Microsoft where they put Santa Claus on a jumbo at 30,000 feet on Christmas Eve. Anyone know that story? No, so using really clever stuff that Microsoft provided, they had Santa Claus hiding in the loo of one of their jumbos, and they had projector screens all along the floor, projecting like the reindeer landing and going across the ceiling, and then he pops out the loo and gives everyone a Microsoft Surface tablet. It's a fantastic story, but God, did that get some engagement. You know, if you think the tweets you sent this morning are going to get 10, 20 likes, that got 375,000 retweets, sort of thing. Amazing. One of my favourite storytellers, who's seen The Darkest Hour? Yeah, really good. The speeches he writes. It's a really good point, some of his great lines here, but there's nothing in here of more than 2 syllables. When you're talking to your audience, keep it simple. You know, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. But there's a bit in the film where, this is about Winston Churchill, if you don't know what I'm talking about, but there's a bit in the film where he's rewriting a speech on his way to Parliament, and he's actually crossing out long words and putting in smaller words, so people can understand it. And he told the greatest story because at that point in the war, almost everyone had given up. You know, the French had given up, we were about to give up. And he managed to turn it around and make an entire country believe that they'd happily die and choke in their own blood rather than have a German land in England. So really powerful, the most powerful storytelling there is. So how do you find the stories in your business? How do you create them? There are simple rules of thumb. There's 4 stories you can tell, and it depends what your goal is. The founder story, that's really important for your brand, getting people to engage with you. If you've got lots of employees, tell an employee story. What has one of your employees done that's really helped a customer? Customer stories, you know, getting references. It's all very well saying I make the best videos in the world. If I can get someone like John Turner to say that this company makes a good video, who are you going to believe? You'd believe John, wouldn't you? I think. Cultural story as well. And then 7 different types of story of each of those 4, as it were. Overcoming the monster, a journey and return, you know, classic sort of Lord of the Rings or Wizard of Oz. Tragedy. I was going to mention this, I just looked at my phone. Who's just gone bust? Toys R Us have just gone bust. Why did they go bust? Because they didn't embrace digital. Yeah, well, lots of reasons, but one of the big ones is they didn't embrace digital. So that's a really clear story, embrace digital. Take as much as you can from today. But if you've got any of these stories, you know, and how you came into business, where you completely broke at the start of it, have you know, had great success, then failed, and then great success again? Identifying the stories in your business. A rule of 3, it's quite a simple rule. There are 3s in every good story, beginning, middle, and end. 3 little pigs, things like that. Hero, challenge, and solution. It's very simple, just keeping stuff simple when you're telling a story. Why do you use 3? 3 is the smallest number the brain can recognise as a pattern. There's not a pattern in 1 or 2, but 3, that's the start of a pattern. So whenever you're doing bullet points, make sure there are 3 of them. Keep it real, keep it authentic. We've all got bullshit detectors. Now the peer. I was just going to sort of do an example of a story, and I thought I might do the event with John, actually. Do you want to come over here? So just a story around the event. I think rather than just saying, you know, this is a digital festival, there's a nice story behind it, isn't there? Yeah. So who's our hero? John. John's our hero, right? What was the status quo before you thought of this?
Pretty awful in relation to digital strategy, I guess, but I hope it's going to get better now.
Yeah, so John thinks, right, along comes our hero, John. He's thinking, right, we're going to improve digital strategies of business in Somerset. So because of that, he sets up this event. And it's nice in the story to chuck in a bit of drama and a bit of tragedy. So what's happened this week to our drama?
Oh, lots of things, but I can't tell you about them yet.
What about the weather tomorrow?
Yes, the weather tomorrow.
Yeah. So just adds a bit of spice to the story. There's a little bit of a challenge. Yeah. Yeah.
You finished?
Nearly. What, the presentation? Am I done? Yeah, I'm finished, yeah. But just if you can add a bit of drama in, you know, we had this challenge and we solved it because of that, until finally, and then there's going to be another event in a few months' time. How do you make stories catch on in your marketing? Social currency, like that Please Don't Tell bar, the hot dog bar. You know, that social currency, I'm going to make myself look cool because I've been there. People will think I'm cool for about a minute because I've been there. Triggers, Kit Kat. Did anyone used to go and see, oh God, I've gone blank now. Rocky Horror Picture Show in London. Did anyone go and see that? What happened when they shouted out, it's time for a break? Everyone threw Kit Kats on the stage. Yeah? Or if you think, I'm going to have it's time for a break, my immediate thought is Kit Kat. Emotion, Marmite, love it or hate it. Public, making something public like Movember. You know, testicular cancer, very private, or was it prostrate? But it suddenly became massively public because everyone grew a moustache in November. Practical value, our videos, you know, how to make videos with your smartphone. And stories, like this Guide for Business one. Getting people involved in your business. How can you get people to actually have a piece of your business, as it were? Marmite are doing branded Marmite jars. You can actually put your name on a Marmite jar. Coca-Cola did it. Did anyone buy one of those bottles? Yeah? Oh, you did a video as well? Okay. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you could actually choose what went on the bottle. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so you really embraced it. So has anyone got anything they can do that with? I mean, marshmallows, potentially. But if you can get people to say, right, my name's on this bottle, and actually take a photo of it, put it on Instagram. Jenna was talking about it earlier. Get people engaged in your marketing. Every Bit of Christmas, has anyone watched that one? The Sainsbury's advert? But it was actually a karaoke song, and there was one version with them singing, and the other version was just karaoke. And it had like 200,000 downloads on YouTube, but people actually sitting there singing to the song. So it's a really clever way of doing it. Volvo, I mean, people love Volvos, but this is VolvoSaveMyLife.com. It's got no association with Volvo other than the fact people put pictures of their half-destroyed Volvos and share the story. And you know, that's free marketing around the fact Volvo saves lives, which is another fantastic story. So live, die, repeat. What's your strategy? Set your goals, find the stories, create and curate, and measure and repeat. Every channel that we've talked about today comes with an analytics package. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. It'll tell you how long people have watched your video for, how many clicks you've had on something, why they're not watching it. If someone's only watching the first 3 seconds of your video, and it's a 2-minute video, you know you're doing something wrong, so change your ideas and your plan. So that's kind of me wrapping it up.